Protect Naomi Osaka at all costs. Matter of fact, protect black athletes at all costs. Now let's get you all up to speed. About 2 weeks ago, Naomi Osaka put out a statement saying that she was opting out of her media availability as a step to protect her mental health. Roland Garros came back and fined her $15K, warning that there would be future fines and a possible suspension. Now, everybody had a take. So this led to Osaka, who may be one of the biggest names involved in the tournament, to not only drop out of the French Open entirely, but to disclose more of what she was dealing with privately, and frankly, maybe more than what she was willing to even talk about. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. I am part of the media. I understand when it comes to local or beat writers, a quote, it can be everything. It's the first point of access to what someone was thinking right after their performance. But Naomi put up a fair boundary. In Naomi's own words, she is not a public speaker, and she feels that the rules around media obligations are a bit outdated. I mean...
Give us a twirl. Can you give us a twirl and tell us about your outfit?
A twirl?
A twirl, a pirouette. Here we go.
So Roland Garros gets in their feelings, trying to pressure her into doing media. Now, what they should have done was try to work with her and provide the right support, but they fumbled the bag. Athletes aren't one-to-one. Remember, athletes, they're human, and no human is the same as the next. Yeah, you can argue that speaking to media is part of their job, but as tournament organizers, it is part of their job to make sure that everyone is accommodated. So Naomi's got to do what Naomi's got to do to protect herself, and that is the only right answer or take on this subject. But this situation did illuminate a lot of other conversations, such as diversity in media and who gets access to all of these athletes. Diversity means we don't get questions like this.
But looked a little bit of a scrappy performance. A few more unforced errors there for you, a couple more double faults.
Oh, I think that's a very negative thing to say. Are you serious? Okay, well, you should have been out there. That wasn't very kind. You should apologize.
Yes, there are actually this many trash questions in women's tennis to choose from for this Open. Not such a great question, and for that, you lead us to our next story, which is the treatment of black women in sports. Tennis and those in media were all for Naomi prior to this, but now that she's starting to speak up and for herself, oh, it's a problem. There is this expectation that black women have to serve up nice all the time just to make others feel comfortable. With Serena Williams, headline after headline, she was labeled as aggressive, someone who can't control herself. So after the 2018 US Open, the tennis world must have loved the fact that they had a black woman in Naomi Osaka who didn't really seem to rock the boat. Naomi is not only a person of color, which helps any sport right now, but she's a little bit more soft-spoken, not as animated. So Roland Garros must have really been thrown for a loop when my girl was like, I said what I said. And it isn't just Naomi. Look at athletes like Marshawn Lynch.
I'm just here so I won't get fined. So I won't get fined. Just so I won't get fined, boss.
Russell Westbrook, Kyrie, Irving, who have had their issues with the way they've been represented in media. So then they said, enough is enough. In the last few weeks, both Russ and Kyrie have dealt with mistreatment from fans, and look at how that has been reported. Kyrie spoke of the treatment of entertainers, especially those who are black, as less than human.
It's been that way in history in terms of entertainment, performers, and sports for a long period of time of just underlying racism and just treating people like they're in a human zoo.
And while we are here, let us just point out, a lot of you in the media were way louder about Kyrie stepping on the Celtics logo than you were about his many examples of philanthropy and activism. Now, I wonder if that has anything to do with who is telling the stories. It absolutely does. Listen, as media, we do want to tell athletes' stories, and hopefully most of us want to do it fairly. Sure, sometimes that means asking hard questions that we need athletes to answer, but that cannot mean we take who is on the other side for granted, and especially not their mental health.
For me personally, how I deal with it was that I know every single person asking me a question can't play as well as I can and never will. So no matter what you say or what you write, you'll never let it handle me.
We kind of work with each other, and we have to do so in good faith, and that means we have to see the other as human, never less than or never we are entitled to. So once again, I repeat, protect Naomi Osaka at all costs.